Okie doke. Fucked up last night. Messed up because I was extremely tired. I stupidly just watched a little bit of YouTube. Ignored the alarm to start my self-test. It was stupid. I regret it. But here we go. We'll remedy that today. So. Oh, it's fine. Alright, so we have enumerations. We have getting them from the user as integers, which is stupid. Getting them as strings, and then doing an if-else chain, or well, I guess an if-else statement, in order to convert it to the right enum, and we return a standard optional to make sure that, hey, did they enter an invalid string? Standard optional is empty. Did they return did they enter a valid string, one that actually matches the name of an enum, or at least the string name? Then we return a filled standard optional with the enum value. And then we can save it as an enum, so we can call all of that just by initializing an enum. And then we can convert an enum to a string by just using a switch statement to return the proper string view to the right C-style string that matches the value. So if blue is, well, it doesn't matter what the integer conversion is, but we just say, okay, case blue, because blue is an integer. Let's say it's not index, but it has the value of 3. Well, I mean, you could do case 3, but you do case blue and then return, quote, blue, quote, semicolon, and you're returning, so you don't have to break because you're already leaving the function, and then boom, you return that value. That's the string. That's how you can do standard character output and then convert it to a string, whatever you want. More convenient and more syntactically concise would be if we could teach the operators what we want them to do. Just like you have, I think, my understanding right now is that operator overloading yields type conversion. Maybe. Or maybe type convert, not necessarily, or I guess type conversion. There are ways of converting types. I'm going to just assume that there is static casting, and that's it. So we cast an integer to become a double. Well, it just so happens that if you use the plus operator, the addition operator, and you pass it a double and an integer, that there is an operator overload where the plus function is called, or the add function, well, I'll say plus so that it's the operator. Operator plus function is called, depending on the right overload is called, or maybe the template function. I mean, you could do overload or template, either way. Let's say probably, well, I guess overload's probably better, because otherwise you have to explicitly make specializations to disallow other ones. So the right overload is called so that when you add a double and an integer, it static casts the int to be a double, and then it returns the sum of the two double results. One is temporary, one is the parameter. And yeah, so you could say that if the insertion operator is passed an output stream and something that is output streamable or passable to an output stream, then I guess it calls the output stream maybe with that value. I'm not exactly sure how that works, what exactly the insertion operator is doing. It's not like the addition operator, I don't think, where you just say, hey, return this type, addition, this type, and this type, and then you put in the logic of what you want to happen. Oh, it converts the int to a double because of the usual arithmetic conversion rules, and then you return a double. Cool. What about the insertion operator? Is it a void function and it's calling standard character output? I'm not sure exactly how that's working and how the function should be structured. What functionality in it needs to be replaced? I would need to see what the usual definition looks like. Can I find that? I'm not sure. Let's see if I can find where that is so I can find the actual definition of the insertion operator function overload, or insertion operator overload, something like that. So we'll include IOStream because I think that should at least, I think that probably includes the definition for the insertion operator, because if we don't have IOStream, we don't have a definition of input and output streams, I streams and O streams. So I figure that's probably also where the function definition is, or the insertion operator overload definition or something like that. The function overload definition, whatever we call it. Oh, can I view it? Can I find this? Can I view the code? Oh shit, it was loading. What is F7? No? Okay. Oh, here we go. Go to document. What is all of this? Okay, is that it? Is this all that's in IOStream? So it's if something is defined, then it's putting a bunch. So it seems like this is not where the definitions of things are. Character input. Where is character output? I see these W's and things. We're including iStream. Trying to find where the OStream stuff is. I want to know where the insertion operator's definition is. What about this? Peak header code file? No? Okay, so let's go to document. So we're here. I don't see, there's some class stuff happening here. Hmm. I mean, maybe I go to iStream. There's a lot of stuff in here. I see some class definitions, public and private, and subclasses, it looks like. There's one public thing that has a class in it. So it seems like these are class, like embedded classes, or I wonder if this is C, if CEE is literally is like a way of saying C, like the C language. What if I search for operator? No, because this is operator extraction. Extract and unsigned sort and short. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we can see all the overloads actually here that are all the different ways that you can extract something. And it's basically saying, hey, these are the only things that we are able to extract. So we can say it's the same logic, it's identical. It's just saying that, hey, we can do this for a long double, a pointer to void. Oh shit. All kinds of different stuff here. I don't know what you could assign with pointer to void, but maybe you can't. Maybe you can only use it. So I'm not sure where OStream is though. Excuse me. I mean, is it this? Is this OStream? What in the fuck? Is this a changelog? I guess it's just instructions saying all these different things. I'm not sure if these are addresses or if they. I mean, I guess they're not. It seems like these are versions. So what if we say operator bum bum? Nope. Bum bum bum. So where is I mean, I would assume that there's an iStream one. Because this is IOStream. And if we have, I'm not sure what this W, I, and O streams are. I don't know what the W would and W initialize. A lot of W here. A lot of W's here. I'm not sure what they're doing. Yeah, this is the IOStream header. I don't know where the definitions for insertion are. We have extraction in iStream here. I mean, I don't imagine that they're transitively included here and I'm just missing it. Oh my fucking god, they are. They totally are. Oh my god. Does this have way more shit? It's a decent little chunk. Operator insertion. Here we go. So. How many of these do we have? We have a lot. Oh, there's a lot. Oh, here we go. Hold. There were some interesting ones up top here. It's used. There are so many use cases for it. It seems like there's a lot more than I'm aware of. Returning a basic OStream, a reference to a basic OStream, and it's called, or I'm not sure what that underscore CLR or this call is, because I'm not sure if that's part of the return type, or if it's a qualifier, or what. iOS manipulator. iOS base manipulator? There's all these different things. There's iOS base, there's my iOS, there's basic OStream. And there's a different there's different syntax here. Because I see this as like a whole function. Oh, never mind, I'm just stupid. So this is a whole function, and it seems like there aren't any commas here. So it looks like this is almost like a basic OStream needs to be passed a pointer to a CLR call, just some sort of thing. I'm not really sure. It's a call to something, the address of something, or a pointer to something, and then basic OStream. Or I'm not really sure why basic OStream reference is on both sides of this, and then same with my iOS and iOS base. It's the case for all of these. It's like they have to enclose whatever this pointer is. Okay. Insert a short. Insert an unsigned short. This seems like worse. Seems like it wasn't made as nicely as the iStream part. It's probably because it was made before. Insert different things. And there are good bits and bad bits. So it seems like I guess it checks it bit by bit to actually. It seems like it's probably interfacing with some low level shit for the terminal, where it actually has to convert things down into bits, maybe? Because there's some interesting stuff I had to do for the Project Extrasensory, where I was taking values from Unreal Engine and passing them to an Arduino via the USB ports. And it had to do some interesting stuff with the values. And there were a lot of like converted versions of the info that I was sending that wasn't legible. And these are... Okay, so here's extracting sometimes... So sometimes extracting is with that operator instead of the other? Insert until end of file from a stream buffer. And so what, this is the way of protecting, yeah, and it's checking if it's end of file, so it's a way of, I guess if we're, the point is that it inserts and it doesn't insert an end of file character maybe. Inserting all these different things, a long double and a double, these are basically probably copy pasted. I mean, it seems like it's identical, yeah. Except this is static, yeah, exactly. So there's some static casting going on here to convert between the different values. Because a double is the default, so we have to, or oh, rather actually we're casting the float to be a double in order to actually put it in. Then are we doing any other casting here? I guess not, we're just leaving it as is. Well, I guess so, we wouldn't want it to, this is a, well, yeah, I guess this is the type of promotion that's going on here. Maybe promotion isn't a thing, it's just a byproduct of these overloads that we call. So if we call addition with a float and a double, the float gets converted to a double because it gets converted to a double in the function. So it's not like some byproduct of the language, it's a byproduct of user or standard library code that was written before. And so it's the CLR command line, because CLI is command line interface, right? CLR, I'm not sure. It seems like this is saying a reference to an O stream, and I guess it's calling the CLR to put it in the terminal via this guy. It's basically saying, hey, this is the value on the right, this is the value that's on the left, and then maybe it's just called. Well, I guess it's called this. I'm not really sure. I guess we include this to actually call it. What does it say this is? Doesn't even say. It's just CLR or this call. CLR or this call. It's defined. So CLR or this call. What exactly is it? It's a basic O stream, and I guess that's the name of it. And it's this. I'm still not sure what this is because it doesn't look like the name. It looks like it's a data type almost, or like the thing that gets returned. Like a basic O stream returns this call. I'm not super sure. There's a lot of stuff going on here that I haven't seen before. Okay, that was fun. Let me get the fan going and my timer set. God, I'm so freaking physically tired. Go till 1:30. Okay, and so yesterday I did a little test with an enum where I just made a little operator plus. I made it return something. I put the left and right hand operands in the parameters and then said what it was going to do to get the value that was eventually or ultimately returned. But the OStream part is interesting. I'm not sure if there's going to be something that's abstracting away the CLR or this call and a reference to a basic O stream, something like this. What was this called? Oh, fairly. Okay. Yep, so we get a function using the name of the operator as the name. We add a parameter in left to right order for each operand. So I wonder how you do the ternary operator. Is it operator question mark colon? What does it think? So if we say operator plus, what does it think? What is it thinking? Oh. It's expecting some parameters. What if we said operator question mark colon? Oh. No parameter list. What if we said int double? I'm not sure. Old style? Maybe there's some ternary operator, some sort of inherited shit. I don't know. Add a parameter of the appropriate type for each operand. So maybe some types aren't valid, maybe. Oh, that makes sense. One of these must be a user-defined type. So, because otherwise, int double, it doesn't know what those would be. So if we had an enum test, hello, sure, and then I just gave it a test. Find 7 is the issue here. expected an operator. Oh, so it's not taking these as that. All right, so I guess there's some hidden operator. I'm not really sure what the ternary operator is then, because it's question mark and then a colon, but I don't know if it's actually represented by a question mark and a colon. Seems like it's not. Add a parameter of the appropriate type for each. Okay. One must be a user-defined type. Okay. So the return type to what we want. Use a return statement to return the result of the operation. Okay. What about operator plus plus? Ten errors. What if we said plus and it's just binary? Let me say it returns a void, and it's operator plus, and it takes a Pokemon type, and what if that's all it took? Identify our Pokemon type? Oh, oops, there we go. Oh shit. And I want the plus to be the way of parenthesizing it. I think it's going to say that that has to be the left-hand operand. I'm not sure how you would make it be the right-hand operand, but we'll see. We'll include IOStream just because. And we will just return. Oh, we could just do a little switch case real quick just to test. Switch on X and we'll say case fire, case water, output water, and then case ground, and then default invalid Pokemon type. Okay. And now I could make a Pokemon type Pokemon, and we'll just make it fire. Okay, we got some warnings happening. Oh, oops, I totally was not breaking. I mean, I guess I could break, or we could just return. We're not doing anything else. But maybe we will, so let's just do break. Well, and this is, I guess we'd actually rather just do return, but I would need a standard string view. And so we'll return false, and then return water. What the fuck am I returning false for? Fire. And this is returning a standard string view. This is returning ground. And this is returning invalid. Okay. Hello? I hate that it takes so long to load sometimes. And then we'll just do Pokemon Plus. Hold. Fuck. Because I would think that that's the, or maybe it treats it as the right hand operand. So what if we just do plus Pokemon? Oh shit! That's what it thinks. Oh, and I want to output plus Pokemon. But then if I made Pokemon water, oops, well, yeah, that's fine. It outputs water. So, it seems like by default, this is the right-hand operand. I'm not sure how I would make it only the left-hand operand. Like I don't know how I would make a postfix operator. This is a prefix. I don't know how I would put plus at the end. I know how I can make it binary, but excuse me. I mean, I guess sure we could make this static. It's only used here for now. Say operator plus here. What? I'm not sure. How would we make it a left-hand operator? Or an operator that goes on the right hand and it only has a left operand, not both. Because if we do this, and then we do an int, and then I call Pokemon plus 4, then it does it. That's binary, so it's in the middle. But if I remove this, the operand's on the left. How do I get it on the right? I don't know. Alright, let's learn some more. To return the result of the operation. Okay. It'll check to see if there's already an overloaded operator function, because those already exist for all the regular types. In this case, it's going to look to see if it has one for that type, and if it doesn't have one, it won't do it. But, yep, makes sense. If it is if a non-ambiguous one can be found, it is called. Okay. Operator insertion is used for output. Okay. Oh, here we go. Now we actually get into the meat. Standard character output. And we're inserting 5 to it. So inserting the character 5, I guess, to the command line interface, the terminal, via standard character output. Standard character output is the type standard O stream. So we make a standard O stream and we call it character output. Character output is just the name of it. I guess it's an object that already exists, or it's a standard output stream is a user defined type. Standard character output is just and so it seems like it's a standard character output is the name of an existing one, just like standard Mersenne Twister could be an object for something else further underneath. Let's find that out. Here it is. This is an alias now, so we're using MTT or MT1997. It's like the periodicity or something. Instead of Mersenne Twister engine and passing it all that shit. And those are the. Oh, it takes like. It's fucking 13 parameters or something? This is crazy. Okay. And so I'm not sure if standard character output is, or well, let's go find out. Starting to have questions. Do we have iStream? And it includes OStream. I guess it wouldn't be that because this is in the standard library. Whoa, hold. Oh, so maybe iStream has standard character output? How about IOStream has character output? Here we go. Well, here it is. So we're defining. Is that what that means? No, we're saying if define, we're doing this. What does this mean? This is like some sort of qualifier, I guess. We're saying extern OStream. So we have created an output stream object and named it character output. But then we've named character error and clog so that these are different unique objects so that maybe I can read the shit that they've sent and maybe they function identically. They're just stored in 3 different channels. So we could say, hey, you take road 1, 2, or 3. It's fine. They get to the same place. You can get to work with all 3. However, you might say one morning, oh, we took route 3 versus route 1 versus route 2. They're all 3 roads. We took the standard character output road, but standard character output is a road. It is an OStream. OStream is the type. Standard character output is just a name. See out. That's it. Okay. It's an object that already exists. It's like using, I guess Merson Twister 109 through 7, but no, but that's a type though. OStream isn't, character output is not a type of something. It's an object that exists. It's like the character in Unreal Engine, the player character. Trying to think if there are any other ones. There's character input. Trying to think of a case where we use an object name, which is rare because Merson MT10937 is a type, but character output is just a straight up object. Okay, it's an object that we use. All right, cool. The standard output stream is a user-defined type. 5 is a literal of type integer. Makes sense. When we evaluate it, the compiler will look for an overloaded function, an insertion operator function that takes standard character output, or I guess takes an OStream and some other thing. Yeah. So it's looking for something of OStream and int in this case. It will find it and call it. Inside it, character output is used to output X to the console. Depends on the implementation. Okay. And then it returns its left-hand operand, which is standard character output. So that subsequent calls can be chained, meaning that we can say standard character output, and we insert 5, and then insert again this, and then insert this again. And then if I assume that it starts on the left to right, then standard character output evaluates or outputs this guy and returns a standard character output as the return value, and then we have another insertion operator and another object which outputs it and then returns the character output, so that it continually goes and it's like, okay, standard character output in this guy, it outputs him and returns this guy. Oh, we have another insertion operator in the middle. Okay, outputs this guy. Oh, outputs this guy, outputs this guy, and eventually keeps returning the left-hand operand. Because otherwise, if it returned the right-hand operand, then if we output 5, but then it returns 5, well then it's 5 insertion operator 6. That doesn't do shit. We need standard character output to be the return value. Okay. And it returns its left-hand operand. That way it can be chained. Gotcha. To print a color. So And we need a reference to OStream because, oh wait, I'm not sure. Oh wait, I guess we're getting a reference to an OStream. Color. Well, and then we have a function that returns it. I should have made that function earlier, both static and const expression. The OStream is the type of standard character output, standard character error, etc. Yeah, we saw that. The return type and parameter are references, so we don't copy the entire input stream, output stream, that kind of stuff. So we're returning a reference to an OStream, and we use standard character output, and we're returning it as a reference wherever it exists in memory. That's what. So we're passing it as a reference to this function, but it doesn't look like we are. It doesn't look like we're saying function in parentheses this and this. Instead, it's just this plus this. But in reality, that's calling a function that is the left hand and the right hand operator, and it returns some type. And we're passing character output as a reference to an OStream, which is the reference to standard character output. And its type is an OStream. We want to pass a reference to standard character output itself, so we do an OStream reference, an operator insertion, and on the left we have an operator we have an OStream reference. On the right we have a color, and then we're saying output get color name. Gotcha. So we're converting the name, and we can output a string. So we're not just saying, hey, here's the thing, output this. We're saying, hey, here's the thing. You're going to call a conversion function to turn this value into a string. You're going to return that value, and then you're going to return yourself, not necessarily yourself, but you're going to return the OStream reference. That way you can still be chained. Okay, let's try and do this. I want some music. Oh yeah, this is it. So don't actually need that yet. Oh, well, we didn't start the switch yet. That makes sense. Why didn't it? Okay. And so if I put that definition in Pokemon, do I need to say Pokemon insertion operator? I don't know how that works. I'm gonna try some different stuff here. I'm first gonna put it here. We're gonna be returning a standard OStream reference, and it's called operator insertion, and it takes a standard OStream reference, and it takes a Pokemon types, and what it does, and we're gonna call it output device. We'll just say. And we're gonna say output device is going to extract Pokemon or Pokemon as string this Pokemon, and then it's going to return output device. And we're gonna make a Pokemon types. That was a Dragonite, and it's Dragon. Oops, this is Pokemon Dragon. And then we're gonna say standard character output. Oops, hello. And it's cool here because I wish this. Oh my god, it does! Oh, I was gonna say I wish it would show me the function here. That's fucking sick. In this case, it's doing a character. In this case, it's doing a Pokemon. Oh shit. And so this is operator insertion, and it's being passed standard character output as its left operand, and a Pokemon as its right operand. And in the function, it calls the conversion to get a string from this guy, and then it outputs this guy. That is insane. And now, what happens if I move this into this namespace? It's still happy. Do I have to do Pokemon like that? No, I guess not, huh? I'm curious how that works. I mean, sure, it's only called by this function, and then same here, or this. I guess we should make it static const expression, because it's not actually outputting anything. Hold. Oh wait, string views can't be const expression, I don't think. Wait, what if we try it? Well, it's not making it const expression. Const expression, static. Const expression has to be first. Well, the problem here is that this is actually doing standard character. This is doing character output. I don't think this works. Yeah, it cannot. Okay, makes sense. But we can at least make it static, so. What happens if I set a const expression enum? It probably doesn't do anything, right? Or it doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't care. Okay. And so this still works and yields dragon. I know this should be Dragonite type. And then it works. But the point is that when I use this... So what happens if... What happens if this is all defined elsewhere? And I'm just including... And the enum doesn't need to be here. We can, at first... We can move the enum so we can really copy this whole guy. We can remove the enum. Really, string view is needed not here, but here. And it also needs... I think string view is transitively including standard this guy, but we can move this in here because we're already including Pokemon. And the problem is right now, hold, wait, here we go. So this is a function. This is a function. Convert Pokemon type enum to string. Teach operator insertion to print Pokemon type name. Excuse me. Okay, what was it having an issue about? Oh yeah, well now it's being called by another function, so these shouldn't be static. Oh, and should not be static. And it's actually just working. Why is it just working? So this is Pokemon H. And Pokemon H is including a namespace that has this operator in there. This operator function, this operator overload in there. Just like a function can be an overload, an operator can be an overload. So we have an operator overload in here. We have this guy, and that's cool because we're resolving the scope to get it. But this guy, I guess it's because it's being used in a context. So our operator function overloads automatically known in the file? Or, like, if I had... I don't know. I'm just trying to think. If I had the same thing here, and I did this argument, same arguments, but I wanted it to do something else, then maybe I wanted to output a number instead, or to convert the string back to a, well, yeah, to print the string as a number. So in one case, I wanted to do something, and in another, I do another thing. And I have two different namespaces with them, Is it an ambiguous call then? Let's make... I mean, because I know that would be ambiguous, but what if we... Let's see. Oof. Because we're not using any resolution operators to get what this overload is actually doing. Which is nice, but I'm not sure how it's doing it. Is it just because it sees it in the entire file? If I had another namespace that did other stuff, let's say we had another namespace, we'll just call it test, and this time it actually has the definition of the function. And we would want this for inline functions, functions that the calls are about as expensive as everything the function itself actually does, which in this case might actually make sense, but no, we're only passing cheap stuff. So if we're passing expensive stuff, then yeah, maybe. But there's a gnat. I can't tell where it went. All right. And wait, what if we just did this? And then no issues here. Oh, hold. And let's see. So it's having issues on 25. Output device is an unrecognized formal parameter. What is it complaining about? Formal parameter. Because this isn't a for declaration. Oh wait, hold on. These are warnings, it says. Unreferenced. That's why. Okay, never mind. I totally was missing this. I thought it was saying unrecognized. Why is it doubling down? Not actually sure. Okay. And what if we just say this Pokemon? Or yeah, let's just say it outputs this Pokemon, so it outputs the number. And we say output device this Pokemon. Hold. Okay. So it's ambiguous in this case. More than one operator matches these operands. So it seems like these guys are treated as being global scope. So what if we just, or well, I mean, I guess they are both in global scope, but they're in different namespaces. But even if they're in different namespaces, it seems like it doesn't matter. It seems like if you have this whole function, or this whole program, if you have two identical, like you could have, right? You could have two identical functions that are in different scopes, right? Like I could have, I don't know. Let's just say we have void do thing here, nothing. And then we have void do thing here, nothing. We don't get any extra errors because we don't see any errors about 33 to 37 or any of this guy, 21 to 24. Why? Because they're in different namespaces. So we can only call a do thing from test, or we call a do thing from Pokemon. They do different things. They're treated as unique, separate functions in different areas. Just like someone living in one house is different than someone else living in another house. Even though they're both named Eugene. Both guys are named Eugene. But it seems like the compiler doesn't give a shit. What in the fuck? It's failing deduction? This is cool. I like reading all this. Not matched because argument 2 doesn't match. Yes, there's a million. Oh, it's checking all the overloads. Oh my god. It's checking a character. There's different sizes of characters? Is it a pointer? A pointer to a different size of a character? It's checking everything. It's checking, hey, can we do it with this? Can we do it with this? Can we do it with this? Nope. 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 Pokemon is not any of these. None of these motherfuckers work. And eventually we get ambiguous because, do we see the ambiguous part? I'm trying to see. More, there it is, it's actually at the top. More than one matches. One is this, and one is this, and it says exactly where they're located. Nice. Cool. The operator types are these. In most of those cases, it uses an O stream and a Pokemon types. We can't have two for that. The interesting part here is that the compiler doesn't give a fuck about operator overloads being in different scopes. It basically treats them all like they're in global. So for example, I could move this guy out here and we would still get the same error. We get an error at 20, or we get issues at, let's see, at 29. Oh, that was the, okay, because it's already defined there actually, so maybe this isn't fully the case. Maybe it's because one is defined before the other actually. But still, the point is that in this namespace, I guess let's make the definitions elsewhere. Let's remove this and then just see what happens if we do it here. So if we have another one of these guys, already has a body, but in this case, actually yeah, so it's doing different shit. Let's see what's happening. This is the issue, it's in the same namespace. But what if I move it to its own namespace? Test, sure. Okay, just how about paste the fucking thing? Okay. And it's ambiguous. Because one is that, and two is this. Basically, it's saying before anything is even in main, these are ambiguous. Because if we use this operator, both of them take the same parameters, even though they're in different namespaces. Okay, so I'm going to pretend, or at least treat, function over, or operator function overloads as if they're all in global scope, not regardless of whether they're in a namespace or not. So it seems like in an entire function, unless you make it static, which I guess you could do, if you make it static, if you made two of them that were static and they were included in the same file, then we'd still get the same issue, I think. So the compiler treats operator function overloads as if they're in the same scope. So if we have them in one file, we have them in another file, over here, over there, and you end up using Pokemon type in both, you're screwed if it's the same, if they're not distinguishable. Just because you have one in this and another in another namespace and another scope, and they have the same definitions, and normally that's allowed because you can only access them via the scope resolution operator, then you're okay. Because they're distinguishable. They're not conflicting because they're not in the same scope. However, operator function overloads don't give a fuck about scope. They're all in global scope, I believe. Okay. So we can train it by giving it an output stream type. Say, hey, we're going to give you an output stream type. A reference to an existing object of type output stream. Specifically, it's character output. It could be character error. It could be any of those. I think there's a third one too I'm missing. Okay. Okay. So we're teaching it, hey, when an insertion operator has a left hand O stream object, or binding to one, and a right-hand Pokemon type, in this case a color, an enum, then call the function that converts the enum to a string and print that bitch, and then return it, and then return the O stream. That way, when we call it again, it continues to work. And it could be condensed to that, return out, but I don't know, I don't like that as much. So then we're saying we have to know that it's going to operate right to left. It's not going to just return out from the get-go. It's going to first, I guess return is at the very end of the hierarchy maybe. But I guess return isn't even an operator, so I'm not sure. I guess maybe all the operations evaluate first, and then it happens, or all the expressions, and then it returns whatever the result of the whole expression is. But you have to know that it's right to left, I guess. Okay, so your shirt is blue. Okay. The name of the function is operator insertion, since that's the name of the operator we're overloading. 2 parameters. The left is the O stream reference, which we match with the left operand as our output stream, which is O stream, and we can pass by non-const reference because we don't want to copy. Well, we can use it because we don't want to copy, but it needs to be modified in order to do output. Okay, so we couldn't do it. If we can't treat it as non-modifiable because otherwise it thinks that we're modifying it. I'll check that in a sec. But the O stream object, yeah, it needs to be modified to do output. Okay. I guess I'm pretending I could see it being like an object with a variable inside it somehow, and we're assigning it, or maybe assigning it the value of the reference of the shit we're passing to it, and then when you call it, it outputs it to the terminal, to the console, to the CLI. The right parameter is our color object, and it returns the left, so we make it return the left. NoStream already knows how to print a standard string view. Okay. So all we're doing is we're calling it to get the name, and then we're outputting it. Yep. Uses the parameter out instead of character output. Determine which. So I could output whatever ones I want. Makes sense. Yeah, we don't want to automatically choose the object. But we could remove the parameter and then boom. Or we could just specify that it's standard character output instead of out. So I could probably do this different ways too. We could say there's an enum house size, big, small, medium, out of order, don't care. Yes, I do. Small, medium, big. And then we'll say operator insertion. Oops, we'll say first. Include IO stream, and that's all I want for now. It's fine. And then we'll say, what if we return a specific object and we don't even specify the type? I guess it wouldn't be happy. And now if we specifically said standard character output here, wouldn't be happy because it's not a fucking type, yo. So instead we could do this and then give it that, but then it's a binary operand, so we need to actually specify the types anyways, not just standard character output. And if we did, then we wouldn't even need to use standard character output. We would just call the insertion operator on the left, and on the right, that guy. And it's used as like a prefix type of operator, I guess, with only one right hand operand. And then it calls, and then it converts to value, and then calls the other overload. So it's an overload calling an overload, because in there, when we do out and then the insertion operator and then the string view return value of the Pokemon being passed to the get Pokemon as string, or as string view, we're actually calling the existing operator overload for the insertion operator's overload that takes a left hand output stream reference and a right hand standard string view. So in that case, we could just do insertion operator and then the right. Let's make that real quick. We'll get IO stream real quick. Okay, and then we can make. We'd still make it. Oh, but in that case, it wouldn't be returning anything. So it returns a that, but it's not being passed to that. So, oh, but maybe it can just return. Let's find out. It could maybe do the same thing. So if we make it return a standard OStream reference, that's called operator insertion operator, and it takes just a headphones, this headphones, hold. The binary operator takes too few parameters. Hello? What you talking about, yo? You sure? Oh, if I did the plus, I guess the plus could be. So maybe some have to be binary and some don't. Because if we did operator plus, then it could be happy with it. Okay, interesting. So some operators might be restricted in how we use them, such that we have to choose one that takes two operands, like the insertion operator, for example. Returning the left operand is also easy. Seems like behind every easy thing is a whole lot of code. A whole lot of time. $27 different versions of operator insertion that returns a standard OStream reference and takes a standard OStream reference and another parameter and calls, well, and then I guess calls the real shit that gets the information to the terminal. Putting it all together, the compiler will see that we have overloaded the insertion operator to work with objects of type color. Overloaded operator insertion function is called standard character output. That's the, yep, exactly, that's the out parameter, makes sense. And our shirt variable is the color parameter. Out is a reference to standard character output, and color is a copy of it. It will print blue. Oh. And then finally, out is returned back to the caller in case we want to do another one, because it returns out the standard OStream reference That way, if there's another insertion operator to the right, after, I guess, the initial insertion operator and right-hand operator are gone, they've been evaluated already, there's still another insertion operator and another thing too. Be interesting to see the logic to make it an operator be able to take other things on the right. I guess that's just the left and right hand rules of how they work. So could we do the same thing? How would I do it with this guy? We still output an O stream like that, or an I stream like that? So you could say we get string to input in enumerator. So we could say we use standard character out input and we extract to an enumerator. And what it does is in a returning what would we be doing? Would we be returning a standard string view? I guess we could, huh? Hold. So the user enters a standard string and then we check it and then we use the standard optional to see if it matches, and if it does then we store it and we extract that. So I guess we could say we would eventually, like just like in there we're calling standard character output to output the string, we are eventually calling standard character input to extract the enum value, but in it we're calling all the other shit. But I'm not sure if it returns the same thing. What is it returning? Can we do, I guess I never do change standard character input. So if we do int main get IOStream, because we need standard character output and standard character input, and x is is 5 and y, well let's just say in x and y, and then we say standard character input to x and to y. Oh shit, it does return the left hand, and so first it will take that and then it will take that. Okay, so it seems like it's the same thing actually. Let me get some music real quick and then I'll do the same thing, or what I think it would be at least. I kind of almost want this keyboard to be in my lap a little, but nah, let's put it back. Put in the cord back. And we'll get let's do it. Get a header file first, and we'll call it Pokemon Starter. If not defined, Pokemon Starter H, define Pokemon Starter H, and if another file, we'll call it Pokemon Starter for our definitions. We'll include Pokemon Starter. We'll make, let's see, what do we need in Pokemon Starter? We need to get, well, let's start with what we can do first. We'll include shit as we need it. We need a namespace and we'll just call it Pokemon. And we'll have an enum and we'll call it Pokemon Starter. Alright, we'll just call it Starter. And we'll say that we have, I don't remember the names. There's Torchic. Oh wait, hold on. Torchic. Yeah, Torchic is Blaziken, and then there's the alligator guy or crocodile guy, and then I don't remember the fucking green one. Let's do the real ones though. Let's do. Sure, Chimchar, and then we've got Piplup, and then Turtwig. Best Pokemon version. Okay, so we'll get a starter, and then we're gonna have a function that converts a standard string, or takes a standard string view, hold, or that takes that and returns a standard string view. Okay, so we're gonna have a function that returns a standard string view, need standard string view, and we're gonna return a standard string. Actually, we're gonna return a no hold. Yeah, we're gonna do a standard optional. Oops. Okay, well we need that now. Include optional. Need standard optional T. And we're gonna return a standard optional standard string view, and we're gonna call it convert, or hold on, Pokemon string to enum. Or hold on. Wait, no, this is returning the. This is taking the string. Sorry, here we go. This is taking a. This is taking a starter. I mean, I could just say a Pokemon starter. I don't know if this way is better or not. And it's called convert or Pokemon string to enum. And it takes a standard string view. Is that how that works? Hold on. So we're going to get it. Yeah, I think so. Okay, we're going to say if Pokemon string is. Oh, fuck. Hold on. Oh, I need the names. I need a const standard string Chimchar string, and it's called Chimchar, and then I need a const standard, and I really should make this namespace starter strings, and we'll make a const standard string. Oh, I need a standard string now. Include string need standard string. We'll make a const standard string called Chimchar string, or we could just call it standard string and call it Chimchar. But I think there's a name conflict because it's Chimchar already exists, because Chimchar is in the global space of Pokemon. So we're gonna say Chimchar string Chimchar const standard string Piplup string Piplup, and then const standard string Turtwig string Turtwig. If it is starter strings Chimchar string, and then we return Pokemon Chimchar. Else if Pokemon string is starter strings Piplup string, return Pokemon Piplup. Else if Pokemon string is starter strings Turtwig string, return Pokemon twig, and then else return standard null opt. User string, it doesn't match Pokemon. Or we'll just say invalid Pokemon choice. Invalid user string Pokemon choice. Okay. So now we could overload it and pass in the enum. And we print it. So this is for getting it. But now we need another one, so we can say a Pokemon starter returning guy. It returns a starter. Or do we do a standard optional? I guess we do. Or oh wait, no, this is returning the right one, so this is fine. Instead, we're just returning the right string. But we're doing a switch, and we need a default, and then we can return the invalid string. Yeah, that's fine, I think. So in this case, we're actually returning a standard string view. And then we'll say Pokemon enum to string. And it's initialized with Pokemon starter. This starter. And we switch on this starter. And we say case starter chimchar. Return chimchar. We could return. We could return. Yeah, we'll return a view to that. That's fine. Starter. We could return starter strings chimchar string. I'm returning it as a string view. Case starter piplup. Return starter strings piplup string. Case starter turtwig. Return starter strings turtwig string. Default. Return invalid Pokemon. Cool. Okay. We have the conversions. Now I need to get one from the user, but we also need an operator. So we could say returning a standard iStream reference operator insertion, and it takes standard character input. So it takes a standard iStream reference and takes a Pokemon, right? Pokemon hold starter. Convert Pokemon enum to string. Convert Pokemon string to enum. Oops. Pokemon starter string values. Pokemon starter enum options. Oh my! Options. Okay, I'll continue this in a sec. Continue at 2 o'clock. Hello? Can that work? Oh, I gotta eat. I'm hungry. This is fun. I actually get to write a lot of shit. Okay. Good for now.